Welcome back, guys, to the Garden of Dreams. You're watching All the Beer No Idea. I'm Baz. As you can tell by the title, what we're doing now is my personal top 10 favourite PD kegs. The other day I done my personal sort of top 10 kegs for the Blade, which was a lot simpler because what I've done is with that video then, and what I'm doing with this video is I'm only judging my sort of top 10 on the kegs that are actually available at the moment. Not out of stock, but they're not ones that have been discontinued. They are all sort of current and ones that you can pick up at this very time. It's the 10th of July 2022, so what is available now is what I've based my list on. There are 3 or 4 kegs maybe that I've not reviewed, so whether some of the ones that I've not had would make it into the top 10, I don't know. Quite possibly one would, I would say, but until I actually get round to trying that, I don't know. There's Quack Rouge, which is the one that I think might possibly get into the top 10 if I tried it. There's Quack Blonde. I've got the Castilian Grand Cru, which I've not tried. It's in the shed. There are a couple of other beers that I've not reviewed, and I haven't reviewed them basically because I wasn't a big fan of them. So yeah. This video is about my top 10 on the Perfect Draft, and like I say, current beers that are available. So I think that's the only way you can judge it on, because what's the point if they're discontinued? You can't pick them up, can you? So got myself a beer here. Just a quick slurp before we get going. Zipfer from the Heineken Blade. Whoops. It's an absolute scorcher of a day where I am. I'm under this, so I've got a bit of shade. I've done a bit of gardening. I'm red hot, probably dehydrated from yesterday after being out on the beer. So yeah, let's crack on with it. The old screen's decided to do its thing. So let's crack on with my top 10 Perfect Draft beers, in my opinion. Now, the Perfect Draft has 60 odd beers, something like that, available. So it makes this a lot harder. The Blade was a lot more simpler. 24, 25 kegs available at this moment in time. To pick 10, it was a bit more simpler. A lot of great beers out on the Perfect Draft, like I've said, so it is tricky. There's going to be a lot of people out there thinking, how come you haven't picked that, why haven't you picked this? Just because it's my personal taste, that's why. So if you do wonder, that's fine, that's up to you. Before we get going, what I'm going to actually say is I'm probably going to, with the Blade one, I put in a couple of beers that I thought were absolutely awful, and I highlighted them first. I'm going to do the same with the Perfect Draft, in my opinion. So I would say there's 4 beers that I really not keen on for the Perfect Draft, if I'm totally honest. One of them is actually discontinued, so I guess it makes no odds, but Jeanette Fruit was one that I didn't really enjoy. Yeah, it was fruity and all this, that and the other, but it was just like squash, and really didn't do it for me. Another one, and this is one that is available but I've not reviewed because I've had it before and I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest, and that's Hoegaarden Rosé. Too weak, too much like squash. By the time you've had one, maybe two, they're just too much, too sweet. But the next 2 beers are definitely ones that I really could not stand, and I just certainly couldn't see the point of this one, which was Bud Light. Alright, yeah, some people like a lighter beer. For me, no. It's just, I don't know, I just didn't do it for me. Absolutely didn't do it for me. Watery, boring, you know. That's my opinion. Definitely one I wouldn't be going back to. And Tennant's was the other one as well. Found that really terrible. Just didn't do it for me. I know there's going to be some people out there that love it. That's your choice, and you go and buy it. If you like it, you buy it. So they're the ones that I'm sort of really not keen on for the Perfect Draft. So we're going to go into this top 10 now. Very hard to put them in order. I've probably got 4 that would sit right at the top for me, because they are really sort of, I can sort of put them somewhere near the top just because I know. So I'm not necessarily going to put these in order. I'm going to start from the bottom of which I've listed. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be in that order, but these are sort of like top 10 beers that I think are great. So we'll start at sort of number 10 or one of the one of the beers, but we'll call it number 10, and that is Hasseröder. It's a German Pilsner, comes in at £32.90 I think, 4.9%. Absolutely cracking Pilsner, very much underrated on the Perfect Draft. It's cheap, it's, you know, by the standard of PD beers, it's cheap. It's a decent quality Pilsner, goes down really well, and it's an unsung hero. So for me, Hasseröder comes in at sort of somewhere around number 10, we'll say. I'm not going to say this is number 9, but this is where I've put it as I've written it down. We've got St. Fulian Blonde. Now for me, quite possibly the best blonde on the Perfect Draft system. Really smooth, just a quality drop. Left's a nice blonde, St. Fulian's another level. You've got the Trap, again, that is a quality beer, but for me, I think when I reviewed St. Fulian, I did say this was probably the best blonde on the system. 7%, yeah, it is a bit more expensive, but it is an absolute quality drop and well worth the money in my opinion. So number 9, we'll say St. Fulian. Number 8, I'm going to go in with Löwenbräu, the original Löwenbräu lager. First keg I had on the system when I bought mine sort of 4.5 years ago. I ordered a Quack and a Löwenbräu. Löwenbräu was the first one that went in, and to be quite honest, it blew me mind. It's a cracking beer. It's just a good old quality German lager, and what I haven't done with this list, I'll let you know now, I haven't put in the Oktoberfest beers because they can they always change apparently. The Oktoberfest beers can change each year, so it's very hard to say, you know, that they would get in. It's you know, because it's a sort of different brew every year, the recipe kind of changes, so that's why I've not put them in this list for now. But Löwenbräu for me, number 8, solid as a rock, a decent strength beer, and it is just quality German stuff. Number 7, shall we say, is a keg that's recently been released, to be honest, and I've put it in because it is actually something different, and the Perfect Draft has been screaming out for one of these. I think a lot of people have wanted one for ages, and it's Orchard Pig Reveller Cider. For me, it's a decent cider. It's not the best cider I've ever had, but it's a decent cider. It's ideal for these summer months, and for me, just the fact that it is an only cider, I think it needs to be in there because it adds something to the Perfect Draft sort of lineup of beers. So number 7, is that right? Yeah, number 7 is Orchard Pig Reveller Cider. I'm trying to think what strength it is. 4.5%, but it's really drinkable. Right, so we're coming in now. Number 6. I'm all right. Yeah, hang on. 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, number 6. We are going over to left now, and I'm going to say Left Brew. I've said in the past, Left Ritual probably my favourite left, but I think me tastes are changing. I do like a dark beer, and I think there's room for a dark beer on the PD. Left Brew is cracking, absolutely cracking. It's, again, there's not too many dark beers on this system, and Left Brew hits the spot. I've got a keg in the shed that I'm going to review, and I'm going to review it at a higher temperature, because when I did review it, it was at 3 degrees. God knows how long ago I'd done it, about 18 months ago maybe. But Left Brew, yeah, when you want something a little bit heavier, a little bit robust, a bit more robust, Left Brew does it for me. And I think it's probably I'm trying to think of all the dark beers on the Perfect Draft, but it's probably the best. Well, it is for me. It's now the stout has disappeared. I think there's only sort of like Diebels that it sort of competes with, and for me the Brew absolutely beats Diebels hands down. A cracking drink, and if you like your sort of English ales kind of thing, it's sort of lingering around them that sort of territory, but with that Belgian feel to it. Really decent beer, a little bit more expensive, 6.5%, but a cracking drink. Top 5 now for me. This is where it gets really hard. I mean, Brune could have been higher up as well. Like I say, no particular order, but I certainly for me, these top 5 really sort of, they're they're maybe just that little bit fraction above everything else. Brune could have maybe got in there, but I'm going to say this top 5 is pretty much as I would call my best beers on Perfect Draft. So it's a tough one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go in with Spartan at number 5. Any of these 5 would be really harsh to put on number 5 because they are cracking beers. For me, that German lager Spartan, 5.2%. It's got that quality feel of a German lager, but it's also got that Euro style lager drinkability. The Lowenbrau is great, but it's that little bit heavier. For me, it doesn't have the drinkability of the Spartan. So for me, yeah, Spartan comes in at number 5. The best lager on Perfect Draft, in my opinion. I mean, Aceroda is a belter, but for me, Spartan beats it for me. It's something that I could regularly order, again along with Lowenbrau and Aceroda. But for me, yeah, that one comes in as the best lager for me on the Perfect Draft, I think. So into the top 4, I'm going to put Club Tropicana now from Tiny Rebel. Remember that coming out, I think I ordered, I'm not sure if I ordered 3 kegs of it or I just ordered the 1 keg but ordered 3 kegs, but I remember having it. I was really excited to get it and it blew me mind. It was absolutely fantastic, and I drank a keg rather too quick. Well, not a keg, but half a keg. I remember it was a Friday and my missus had gone out with the daughter to go and see the other daughter, and I had a few of them, and I was a bit of a mess by the time she came home. I did knock half a keg back rather quick, and it didn't do me any favours, but I drank it so quick because it was absolutely delicious. Really hit the spot. I'm a big IPA fan as well, so obviously that's going to add to my thoughts on this beer. But Club Tropicana, I think that was, I could be wrong, but I think that was pretty much the first sort of craft beer on the system, I think, and it blew me mind. And I think, you know, it's refreshing this time of year. It's really enjoyable. 5.5%. Yeah, all right. It's at that 38.90 sort of mark. It's a bit more expensive, but I think we all know that pretty much 40 quid is the new 30 now on PD keg. So it's around that sort of standard price, and for me that is why it's there at number 4. Is it number 4? Yeah, number 4. Now, the top 3 gets even trickier now. Really tricky. I would say the top 3, there is absolutely nothing between them. I think I know what my favourite one's going to be. I think my number 1 is going to be number 1, but 2 and 3, you could toss a coin really. So I'm going to put in at number 3 Life and Death from Vocation. It's an IPA, 6.5%. Yeah, it's 41.90, I believe it is. I could be wrong on the price. It is expensive, but my god, this is a cracking beer. It's belting in cans, and it's made that transition from cans to keg perfectly. Absolutely drinkable as hell. Really delicious. Dangerous at 6.5% as well. And you know, it's one of them beers that you have to try it on the Perfect Draft if you own one. Forget the price, buy it, drink it in 330ml glasses, and then think about the price. Work it all out individually like that. If you judge it on 330ml glasses, it really is good value. So for me, number 3 is Life and Death from Vocation. I'm certain I can hear people about. Number 2, the top 2 now. Top 2. Number 2 for me is Pineapple Express, again from Tiny Rebel. Tried it once, bought it in a can. I heard people weren't so keen on it, so I picked it up, bought it in a can from Tesco's, going back about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. Absolutely loved it. Lovely IPA taste to it, lovely feel to it. The pineapple suited the beer down to the ground. Absolutely, the flavours they just do it for me. It was just magic for me. And when it came on to Perfect Draft, I had to get a keg. Now I've only had 1 keg of it because ordered it to review and what have you, and then more kegs come out and you try and get the reviews done so you don't order every single keg again. But That's one that I was going to order this time, but again, that many kegs coming out that I haven't got around to ordering it yet. But for me, Pineapple Express from Tiny Rebel is my number 2 keg. So what do we all think number 1's going to be for me? Well, it was released quite a few years ago now. I think it was about 3 years ago, even maybe 4 years ago it was first released. It's now turned into a seasonal beer. They actually released it first time and then said they were getting rid of it because it wasn't popular enough, and I couldn't believe it, because all I ever heard on Facebook and all the groups, people had the same opinion of me, that it was an absolute belter. And when I reviewed this beer, I think I said at the time, this is quite possibly my favourite keg on the Perfect Draft, or the best keg on the Perfect Draft. And what it is a good old favourite of everyone's, like I say, and it's Franziskaner Royal. It's a Weiss beer. It's coming in at 6%. It's basically a Weizen with a bit more bollocks about it. Absolutely belting, absolutely belting. It's got strength, it's got flavour, and that last bit of the keg when you finish it, it's like treacle. It really is. It doesn't look particularly pleasant, but my god, it is an absolute belting beer. It beats the arse off the normal Franziskaner for me. That's a decent drop, but the Royal is something else and something special. £36.90. It did come out at £34.90, I think, or 33 quid. £36.90. When it comes back in stock, will it go up again? I don't know, but for me, Franziskaner Royal is my favourite keg on the Perfect Draft, and I think there's a lot of people out there that would agree with me. So yeah, if you haven't tried it and you like a Weizen, you need to try this. I think some of you might even struggle to go back to the normal Franziskaner if you can get the Royal, because it is that good. So that's my top 10 videos. I've gone top 10 videos, top 10 beers. That's my top 10 beers video, I should say, for the Perfect Draft. I know a lot of you are going to disagree with some of them. You may well disagree with about 9 or 10 of them, but the choice is mine. You'll all have your own favourites. So if there's any, personally I would say, if there's any in there that you haven't tried on my list, give them a try. Go out, have a go, taste them, let me know what you think. If you want to comment and tell me what your personal top 10 beers are on Perfect Draft, let me know. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm struggling a little bit here, I'm running out of words to say. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, enjoy the weather, and I'll see you again soon on another beer review. Cheers.